So, thanks for that little commercial break. You're with Moments with Vivacious, and we have Young Men Rising today. And at this time, we're talking about the power of a name and identity. And I was just explaining how my family goes back years back, um, centuries back, and it empowers us as generations go on. We also mentioned how a lot of children, even in the same household with their dad, um, don't have their dad's name. The power of a name, the power of identifying who you are. That gives you history. Your history is your foundation in life, period. Not only is that not missing, I'm just going to say there are some situations where children don't have their name and don't have their history. There's not a, this is my opinion, there's not a stable history of who we are as a people in those households. We identify like people get up, go to work, drop the children off at school, come home, cook sometimes the children eat a sandwich, whatever, and then some parents, some households don't even say, do you have your homework? And they go to bed and then you do it again the next day without solidifying a purpose and a presence for your existence.
Exactly.
So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about identity. And personally, I believe when we return to our culture and we return to who we are, then we'll be able to identify ourselves and we'll be a stronger people. So we have all of our, I'm going to say, our seasoned opinions. We're asking a young man on the scene who come different because we're talking about a name and we're talking about our identity and our dads and our fathers from a different time. And I personally believe if children could identify more with who they were, they would not so easily pick up on the identity of the street. But that's my opinion. So I'm sorry, tell me your name again.
Chris.
Okay, Chris. I can't. How can I forget Chris? Chris is my baby's name. I apologize for that. So Chris, tell me, what do you think of the name thing and the power of identity from a different generation?
Well, I agree with you that the name is important to a lineage, to a family, to a bloodline, things of that nature, because a name is what you would put on a group that's from the same place or from about the same thing. Because you categorize things by the name, like you categorize fruit by what you call what the fruit is named. So everything that's similar to that is always of that same name. So therefore, a name really keeps everything in line, keeps everything together. You kind of get a track of or a timeline of what it is. Even though it steadily reproduces, it's still of that same name. So just like the name of the organization of Christian has come from being like Christ. So I think a name is really important. That's something that you have to really protect, and you have to really understand what's before you, and therefore you can understand the things that are to come. Because I think also too, even with a name, we don't often look back far enough to see and talk to the ones that are before us to understand the things they might have faced or been a part of, to understand what they might face in the future. And then they can give us insight on how to handle this. Hey, I'm going through this. Have you been through that? And that kind of thing. So if you're in the same name or that same lineage, then you can really express the things that you have, and they can express you to some issues or ways of dealing with it, because it's an exchange. It is an exchange of what you're going through now and being able to see it and go through it by the help of those that have been before you. They also get a feeling of encouragement that you are asking them what they think. You're asking what they feel. They're able to impart into you. So it's an exchange, and it really uplifts and edifies everybody involved. So I really think a name is important into the name of everybody, and then makes everybody be on one accord. So if you're under one name, everybody has the same mission, same goals.
So that brings me back to the question my grandson asked me just a couple of days ago. He asked me, what came first, the fruit orange or the color orange? And now that gives a whole nother depth to that question. So Chris, I'm going to ask also, like Nehemiah, which one is the most strength? So how does that affect? How do you believe that affect today in today's world that we're not into the name?
Well, I'm gonna address the first piece first. Whether the fruit or the color came first, and it's obvious that the fruit came first because in 6 days he created heaven and earth, and so everything was created before Adam even came on the scene to name it. It had to be there for him to name. He didn't name anything that wasn't already there.
Okay, I'll play that for my grandson.
And so now repeat that the second part again, so I make sure I understand.
And I don't mean this in a facetious way, but how does misnaming, like children don't have their name, and it's not really a big deal to a lot of people. So how do you think that affects their lives without having, it's more of a title than a name to me. How do you think that affects society by us separating from culture and just picking up the culture of time?
Well, you have a title is something that can be ambiguous. A name is something that can be a little bit more specific because you also have a generation, a group, a family to give you examples, and also things of a whole blending together of everything under that name. Whereas a title is, it might be one in this set, might be one in that set, might be one over here, might be one over there. It might be different for everywhere that you give that title. But more so, a name is a little bit more specific. And then having a specific name, you have when you have something to come behind, you really have a set of expectations already. You have something that you've already seen. You have what it means. Now it is true that you can, in certain names, they have to be revisited to make a better image of it. If it was an image that was not quite so a good name or good image, it can be rectified. But therefore, you do have that to start with. But if it's a good name, then it's already a good name. Like you don't really mention the name of Rockefeller to anybody without any money or the names like that. You know what that means. So names do really give you a good starting point or a good idea of what you're speaking about when you give your name.
Empowering. Yes, sir.
A name, a family name, or a crest is important to the male lineage because most of the time fathers want sons to be born so they can carry that name on in life. That's how the bloodline goes. When he has daughters, those daughters get married, their name changes, and that's where we lose a lot of the name. My name, Ward, comes from the island of St. Thomas, where my family is from, where my father's family is from. My mother's family is from South Carolina. But the name Ward is synonymous with St. Thomas. All over the island of St. Thomas, if you go up the stairs of the island to the top where the archives are, you'll find nothing but Ward there. My grandmother had 13 children, and out of the 13 children, she had almost 300 grandchildren from them 13 children. Them kids had kids, and they had kids, and on and on and on. And now, at this point in my life, I'm like one of the oldest remaining grandchildren. And there's some under me, younger than me, that are still here. But the name Ward is so strong in New York, in St. Thomas, in St. Croix. It's the family name means something royal there, and I try to instill that in my girls. Even though they are married now, they still know who they are. So that when they have sons, the sons won't have their last name, but they have a branch on the tree that they connect to that name. And that's why we try to do family tree events where we have like family reunions and stuff to keep them connected to their roots so they know the power of their name. The name is strong. I'm a proud father of the name. You know, my daughter's from 3 different women. As I was a young rebel, I had 3 girls outside of wedlock. And they all have the Ward name. They know each other because that's the way God intended for me to raise them. And they are like this tight. They're locked tight. And it's because of their name. It's because of their name. My son passed away when he was 25, and he was to be the extension of the name, and he died just before he was to get married. A year later, he was supposed to be getting married, and that severed my bloodline for the name to continue. But nevertheless, the tree still has the branches, and they'll know the root of the name, where it comes from, who they are. That's the important piece, to know who you are. The name can mean something. If it's strong to you, you make it mean something. You make that legacy your legacy. You live that life, that's your life. Everybody's name is important to them. So today's kids, like you were saying, just go on every day, in and out, no desire to research or find out who they are or what they're about or what their foundation is a misconception, because down the line they're going to know. They have to find out if anything was to happen to any of them, what's going where, what's connected to them, what birthrights they have. All of this will come into play. And they need to know their name. They need to know who they are and where they come from, which is another thing Young Men Rising does with these young boys. We ask them all the time, who are your people? Where you from? We do that religiously, don't we, Jeff?
That's it.
That's
Challenge them on who they
that's
are.
one of the most important things that we do. We have to know. Not that we have to know, but they have to know.
And they tell us
They
about
need
their
to.
grandparents too, because we challenge them.
Because that's this piece right here. This is really important. This is really important. Your name means everything. It says who you are. It says where you're from, what your people about. It tells you. It tells the world what you are. It gives you some credibility. Your name means everything. It speaks volumes. And that's the important part of the name.
And our generational blessings are carried in our names. And a lot of times, even as Christians, we'll talk about generational curses because a lot of us have lost our identity to know our generational blessings and what our family is known for. And I personally think, come on.
My great-grandmother and my great-great-grandmother. Great-great-grandmother His name Hattie Burns. My great grandmother is named Mary Childs. They both have streets named after them in the square of McDonough, Georgia.
That's awesome.
Right.
I'm
Just
very
I'm talking
proud
about
of it.
McDonough. That's awesome, right?
McDonough, Georgia.
Yeah.
And you know,
Anybody
McDonough,
who know anything about Georgia know about McDonough.
I know.
his whole family
Hmm.
is from that area.
McDonough.
Mm. They
My
have
me
streets
and my
named
cousins showed up. Now, it's just history of that name. Downtown McDonough City Hall, 2 or 3 times a month at that City Hall, every day. I mean, every Monday or Wednesday to get this done, because it was always challenges. But we got it done. And it's a proud moment for all of us.
Yes, yes.
Because over 100 years ago, they was midwives to all races in Henry County, them two. And they did their thing. Now they rewarded with their thing when people drive on their streets, across their roads.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of
I'm proud of that.
my
also.
family name.
Yeah. I'm sure proud of that.
That was a biggie, and that was cool. Because at one time, this whole metro area was part of Henry County.
Oh, okay.
The Atlanta metro area, downtown, all of that was Henry County.
Oh, all right.
So that's in the name.
All right. We got that, audience. All right. Please don't forget to share. I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. It has been more than a blessing to me. I'm just so encouraged and happy and ecstatic to know that you're there. So I'm sure there'll be parents. Tell me one more thing, Lemex, one more thing. How do you recruit men? And that's because this may pass by. Some men say, I want to be a part of that. So how do you recruit men to be part of Young Men Rising?
Well, I think what we look for, or what we ask the young men to do that want to join us, is to have a sincere heart and a desire to help, no matter what it takes, because it takes sacrifice. And if you don't have it in you to sacrifice time, effort, money, then this ain't for you, because we are 100% about doing this job to help these kids in school excel to be the best that they can be. And we look for fathers, even, not just men, but fathers, students. We have some mentors from Morehouse. We have 2 mentors that are in Morehouse College right now that are part of this group of Young Men Rising. We look for people like that are willing to give back, because it takes a village to do what we do. And we need those that are encouraged to come. If you guys want to be a part of this, go to our website, put your name in there, and just say, hey, give me a call, and we will call you. We'll do an interview with you and get your background check and try to get you on board. We need the help. We need it. We got Henry County schools now. We got, how many schools we got to go into now?
4.
4 more schools upon the ones we already have. So we're already stretched thin, but we need more men. And if you're available, if you're willing, man, we welcome you guys. God spare you, come on out and help us. We appreciate you.
And what's your website?
youngmenrising@gmail.com. youngmenrising@gmail.com. The motto is no young man left behind. We do need help. We need everyday help. We need all kind of help from men that's out there, good men that's willing to help us. It takes a background check. It takes a clean background check, because we go into these schools. and we're around young men and young ladies from the age of 9 to up to their 20s. So we do have two young men that's students at Morehouse that mentor with us. They mentor with us over on the west side of the city Wednesday, and I highly appreciate them. I really do, but we don't have enough. We have a total of
7,
8
8.
with the new guy.
Yeah.
We got a total of 8 mentors, 2 that's in college, and we need help. We really do need help.
Just 3 years ago, it was just me and Jeff.
And it was a hassle. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, because when we're fighting against society, and we're fighting against, I call it the evil empire, to help these young men. So we need help. There's Young Men Rising at gmail.com. Look us up, get in touch with us. If you're able, you got a clean background, come and help us. We need it.
This pipeline to prison thing is going to be stopped. We stopping it. It ain't going to happen on our watch.
That's true.
And if you don't have a clean background, but you want to donate in any way you can,
You're welcome to.
We're accepting any kind of resources we can get. Any kind of resource we get. You know, I would say this. You know, I talked to an older gentleman yesterday that thought we had all kind of financial help. And I asked him, where did you get it from? Where do you think that idea that you just said in your head came from? He couldn't even figure out where it came from. But we need all the help we can. We need financial help. Because when we have to take these young men on trips, even to art museum and science places, that comes straight out of our pocket. We don't have no financial resources, so we're just trying to do the best we can with what we have. That's it. That's the bottom line. We try.
and Chris, I need you to encourage some young men. Encourage some young men about the organization and why they should join.
No one intends to be in a situation where they feel like less than, feel defeated, feel like they're coming up short, feel like they just don't have what they need. So anyone that has been a child can understand those feelings, and those feelings can carry into adulthood. So I really feel like any young man that is feeling that now, we try to help them to understand how to handle those things, handle those emotions, those shortcomings now, how to accept help, and then how to reach back, because that's really what we all understand is how it affects us as young men. So I challenge all the young men that feel like they have any issues or any insecurities or anything that they feel like they are not as meeting where they think they should be, to reach out to someone, to reach out and try to get some help, to start being more open to some of the people around you that you think are a little bit more wise or more seasoned, more experienced in different things. And the other older ones, reach back down, reach to help them. Mm-hmm. We can all be better together if we would join together.
I like that. We could all be better together. Okay, and in closing, what is the one thing that means the most to you that you want the world to know? If I can give each of you one at a time, what is it that you want people to know about the organization, about what you do, or about the young men that you take care of?
We're here to give a young man a chance to be the best he can be, and to teach him how and the opportunity.
No one has ever made it on their own, and no one that has made it would have wanted to make it on their own. So everyone that's trying to make it, help them along.
And I think being available to listen to a person, a young man, when he's struggling with whatever he's struggling with, give that ear. Don't turn away from them. Don't shun them off or anything like that. Pay attention to these kids. They're trying to tell us something. They're trying to show us something. They're trying to give us some input as to what's going on in their lives without just blurting it out. They need somebody to listen. So listen. That's the best I can tell you, is just give them the ear they need to hear.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here today and sharing.
Thank you all.
Very valuable.
Thank you so much.